Hello everyone, it's me Brain Cubing. Today I will be reviewing the YJ SuLong. So the YJ SuLong is one of the many new YJ cubes that has recently came out, and it's pretty hard to keep track on all of them, but they all look pretty much the same. The newest one seems to be pretty much the same one, just a stickerless one, and then there's also one that I think is called the Lingan that seems to be the same one as well, just with rounded tiles instead of square stickers. And then there's also the Chilong, which seems to be almost the same as the SuLong. But from the reviews I've seen, it is actually quite a different cube, and we have also seen the same things with other cubes recently, such as the Fengshi and the Gans 3, where the version 2 seemed to have pretty minor changes, but it actually made pretty big differences once people got their cubes in their hands. However, those cubes were actually called a second version because that's what they are, whereas YJ tends to give all their new cubes a completely different name, even though they are more or less the same cube with just some small changes. But anyways, this review will focus on the one that is marketed as the SuLong. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, it has the same shades that you will get on any Moyo cube, and I probably would guess that they are the exact same stickers because the quality seems to be the same as well. The cube itself looks pretty standard, and it is about standard size. It's actually just a little bit smaller than a standard 57mm cube. Let's compare it. This is a 57mm Guhong version 2, and here we have a 55mm Senshi. And we can see that the SuLong is a little bit bigger than the Senshi and just a hair smaller. It's hard to see on camera, but it's just a tiny bit smaller than the Guhong, so it's probably a 56.5mm cube. And I don't really notice it being that much smaller when I hold it in my hands. Onto the performance of this cube, let's start with speed. That's probably the first thing you'll notice. This is a pretty slow cube, as you can see. And while it isn't the slowest cube in the world, it's definitely far from the fastest as well. And for that reason, I would probably say that this is a pretty good cube for beginners or maybe intermediate or even advanced cubers that either want to practice on some things like look ahead, because one of the most common tips to people that need to practice their look ahead is to go slower, and with a slow cube you are obviously forced to go slower. Maybe some people will also like this cube because it's much slower and therefore also much more controllable than many other cubes on the market. Indeed, it's very easy to control this cube because of the low speed, and misturns are pretty much non-existent on this cube, so you rarely do the wrong type of turns as long as you know what you're doing, which I didn't do there. So anyway, moving on to corner cutting. It's definitely up to par with the best cubes. You can do 45 easily. Can't really do much more than that though, but 45 is more than enough for anyone really. And as for reverse cutting, can do about 2/3 of a cubie perhaps, sometimes maybe even more depending on the tensions, but not always, as you can see. But 2/3 of a cubie is usually not a problem. So in that regard, performing algorithms will be just as easy as on any other top cube today, just doesn't compete with them in terms of speed. The feel of this cube is a very smooth cube. As you can hear, it doesn't produce much of a sound even when trying to go fast with it, and when I turn it slowly, you can barely hear it at all. So it is a very smooth cube. So if you like smooth and controllable cubes, then this cube might be for you, and you maybe even want to consider it as your main if you don't need the fastest cube. So let's just take a look at the mechanism. It is a very basic mechanism, as you can see. There's nothing special going on here at all, and it has this flat anchor to prevent it from popping. And popping isn't a big issue on this cube. And as you can see, the corner is similarly basic. and so is the centerpiece. And as you can see, it has the same blue core that all the Moyo cubes has. This mechanism also does a good job of preventing corner twists, and that honestly isn't surprising, because most cubes with a basic design do not suffer from corner twists, as some cubes with a more advanced design do. So that pretty much sums it up for this review, and I do recommend this cube either to people who are looking for a very cheap speed cube, because this cube can be found for just a few dollars, or if you are a beginner, or if you need a cube that forces you to go a little slower due to its low speed so that you can practice, for example, look ahead, as I mentioned before, or if you simply like a smooth and very controllable cube. So thank you very much for watching this review. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please hit the like button or drop a comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Bye.